We are live. And I should probably do my usual introduction. Hello, fellow adventurers and curious souls. With me today, I have a new face and voice to the stream. Please, Pia, if you just introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Pia. I'm a 3D artist at Brightstar, currently focusing on character assets and tech art related to the character creator.
And we will. I'm so hyped for this. Sorry, I'm so super stoked for this. It's been so long since we have streamed. And it feels probably even longer for me because a lot have happened. I've been away, now I'm back, and we're streaming. I'm so happy you could be here with me today, Pia. We have a lot of exciting things. As always, I'm your humble host, aka Game Master, lead community manager, and I'm here to take you on this wonderful journey ahead of us with this skilled guest who have risen from within the community itself, but we're going to talk much more about that. Before we get into that, this is the developer stream. What does that mean? Well, that means that we invite developers on board. We've had the game director here, the lead level designer here. Now we have a wondrous, legendary 3D artist, Pia, here. We'll continue to have much more developer guests in the future. We often try to focus on one important aspect of the Ember Sword development. Today it's art. It's the art journey, specifically Pia's journey into becoming a 3D artist. Then we're going to go into more specifically the art craft of Ember Sword, the immersion, and how we make the world feel alive, so to say. And then we're going to talk about Shock, because Pia, I know you've worked a lot on Shock, so we're going to talk about Shock. And then, of course, we are ending with a community tradition of a Q&A. And if you haven't submitted your questions yet, you can still submit them in the Discord bot, but we won't get to pick them for the stream. So if you have questions that you are really burning and you really want them for the stream, I would suggest that you actually probably throw them in chat while we're going through the Q&A, because then there's a slim chance that we might pick them up if they're really, really good and you are really, really sweet about it. Other than that, I mean, today it's all about the loving of the Ember Sword art, and we are in good hands. I think other things to mention is just that I want to thank you all for the wondrous land sale that we went through. It was amazing to see the thousands of applications, and I'm so grateful and happy for everyone who got to purchase a piece of Solarwood land. That is amazing and will continue to be amazing as we come closer and closer to release and the community-driven world of Ember Sword and what you're going to do with those lands. I'm so excited about that. All right, let's get into it. So, yeah, I can see a lot of hype and excitement in chat. Somebody is writing, we love you, Pia. October, that's soon. October is very soon. That's true. We're almost embarking onto October. Somebody's writing, woo, yes, show me. Okay, they're excited. That's good. All right, Pia. So I've talked enough. Take it away, and I might show something while you're talking. But tell us about your unique community journey into your position in Brightstar.
So, my journey starts a little bit less unique. The interesting part comes later. At the very beginning, it starts just with a job post. About 2 years ago, actually in October, I think, there is a job post about Brightstar looking for 3D artist. I gave it a shot. Didn't get the job the first time around. Wasn't a lack of talent, but the issue was more that what I had in my portfolio, it wasn't really something that the recruiters could see them using. It wasn't relevant. I didn't have anything in the style of Ember Sword. So first it's like, okay, is that it? Is that the end of the line? Just didn't get the job. And I did a little bit of research and realized that there was an active Discord community, and there was a fan art section for that. I was like, okay, I need stuff in my portfolio. Might as well give this everything I got. So I scoured the internet for as much reference art I could find. And I mean, the style already then had taken quite a journey, so it was a lot of different mixed things. But gathered up my material, and then I spent about, I think it's like 3 months, like every day after work and all my weekends, just creating as much as I could. It's not great for your mental health, so I wouldn't recommend doing that. So that's a different story.
We talked about, I just want to highlight that. So that means that you had a job, and instead of going home and watching Netflix or playing Baldur's Gate 3 or whatever you do these days, or I know you have cats, probably playing with your cats, you actually went home and did fan art for the community after the job, right?
Yes, I did. Because like I knew I wanted to do this. I mean, before I was doing more, traditional realism and PBR workflow, which I mean, like game companies that does that kind of style is a dime in a dozen. There's plenty of that, but something like Ember Sword with this kind of like more 2D-ish style in 3D, that's really rare.
I just think
And
that's
that's like
pure
that's what I wanted to
dedication.
do.
That's just pure dedication, Pierre. I gotta admit that you just. I mean, oh my god, that's so much like Bright Star. I would say that's Bright Star DNA right there. So I'm happy you showed them that they were wrong, right? I have one thing that I'm showing here, which I think is your what was it, your first fan art submission?
Yes, it's the very first one, and already there, I mean, it was paying off because one of the Discord moderators, shortly after I posted this on the fan art section, contacted me and asked if it was okay that she printed it and put it on their physical board in the Copenhagen office. So it's like, think, okay, physical people are gonna see the stuff that I made. Like the people I need to see this might actually see it.
I love
So
it.
that just encouraged me, to continue.
And this is so peaceful. This is so like tranquility, serenity. I love this is super peaceful. It feels like solar wood and millweed. Yeah, you guys have played the test. You've been in millweed. What about this? What about this little funny creature?
All right, so this is actually a double piece of fan art. You have the Work in Progress Wednesday.
Yeah.
That was called. And there's a piece of concept art on that for a tree ant, tree kid, tree ninja.
Yeah,
some
Bark
little,
Bros.
Like, wood guy.
That's what I call them. So, yes, they have many names.
So I made fan art of that concept art, like try to make my concept art look like the real concept art, and then I made this guy in 3D afterwards.
Oh my god! And what is this guy called? I think it says is it Fawn Strider?
Yes, fawn stride, like fauna.
Yeah.
Or a fawn, as like I imagine them going around in flocks, like a flock of deer.
Oh my god! Wait, this is not in the game, right? Yet, like this.
No.
Okay.
I mean, I would love for it to be, because then I could make their queen, which I imagine being like a really big version of this with a big stump head that
oh my god! Yeah.
things with.
Okay.
Like a secret boss.
So we don't have the game director here today, so we can't put him on the spot. But otherwise, I was gonna put him on the spot and ask him like, when is this in the game? Okay, community, make this happen. Okay, we have power in community, make this into the game. We'll keep asking them until they put it into the game. I love that. I think I have something else here. This is the first fan art piece from you that I think I saw personally, and I mean it's Whiskers. But tell us about this.
All right, so this is the third piece that I made, and by then it's been like a really long while, and it is hard to produce this much art in what might not sound like a short span of time, but it takes a lot of time, of energy, and love to create something like this. So it's like, okay, I gotta hit hard. It's a little bit scary, but what if I'm just very blunt?
Hire me. It's like those, like, you need me, like, sign up for the army. Yes, it's like you need.
Pretty much. Like, look at this. I can do the style, and I'm up for hire. It's like I'm done beating around the bush.
I love this. And it has badges, right? The 4 nations or something like that, like on the belt there, right?
Yeah, he's a little Boy Scout representing.
Oh my god, Whiskers so much feels like a Boy Scout. I gotta like that. Like, yeah, he feels like a Boy Scout. I don't know. To me, Whiskers feels like a he. I don't know. It might be a she. I have no idea. But Whiskers feels like a Boy Scout, a scout. I love that. He knows his way around Fanabus. I think I have a last one here. Tell us about this one. This is very interesting.
Alright, so that is the result of my art test. So after the spicy whiskers, I finally got the conversation that I wanted to have, that first interview conversation, and I finally received the ever elusive art test, which I've been wanting from the start, to probably prove that I can do this, because I know I can do it. And I had a choice between 3 different subjects. Can't really remember the others. There's something about like a sword design, probably a character, And then the third option was designing a cartographer's house in the style of Ember Sword.
I mean, I love you call it the elusive artist. I just that's yes. Then you got into it, right? Well, then have you ever like did they when you got into that elusive artist? Did they know that you've gone through all this? Like, did they know that you've done all these fan art submissions? Like, was that part of? Yeah. Okay. I love that.
That's the reason why they knew who I were.
Yeah,
Well, they knew me because I applied earlier, and then they reconsidered after all the work that I've been showing.
Yeah. Yeah, because I've only seen it from the other side, and I know that community and brand and marketing, we were all like, like, who is this? Like, this is amazing. We need this. Somebody, like, start pinging Mark or, like, ping yours. Like, we need whatever we need to do to get this wonderful artist into the team. I love that.
That was the plan. So it worked.
It worked on so many levels, Pia. I just want to end here by just saying, of course, this is not all. I know your dedication is up there, 1,9,000 power the level, but this is, of course, not all Pia's fan art. This is shout out to the community. This is wonderful fan art from the community, and it's only like a fragment of the community art we have gotten over the years, which I think is like last time I did a tally was like 2,500 pieces of fan art, maybe. It's probably more by now. It is a lot of fan art between tattoos, drawings, animations, all kind of things, items design, character design, environment design, and my personal favorite in the upper left corner, the Whisker full suit, which I have told the company to make happen because I'll wear it on the stream when it happens, of course, 100%. All right, let's. I get too dragged. I'm so hyped about this. Tell us a little bit about. Let me just change the scene here. Tell me. I love that transition song. Tell us how long have you been with Brightstar then? Like, when was this?
A little bit more than a year ago.
Mm.
It's like a year and a month. But honestly, it feels like a lot longer. Like it's only been a year, but all the stuff I've been doing here makes it feel like it's been like 3 years.
Yeah, we're busy. Yeah, you heard it from the developer here. We are very, very busy every day. One very important question that we always ask here in the community is community stream is like, and obviously there's one right answer and 3 wrong answers to put you on the spot, but like, which nation do you belong to, Pierre?
Do you want the right answer or the wrong answer?
Yeah, I want the right. I mean, I want the right. No, I want your answer. I want your answer, of course. Where do you pledge your allegiance to in the nations of Fanabus?
I have 2 answers to that because, like, at the very beginning, just because I like all the farming stuff, I think it's super cute. I love, the cooking aspects of games and collecting the vegetables and the little designs of that, like farm stuff. It's super cute. So I was all solo wood, but as I've gotten to know the style for the other nations, Severend has this voodoo tribal Aztec vibe going on, and like I don't agree with their aggressive demeanor, but the design of their culture and their outfits, like I'm all for that.
I love that. Like, do you want the right or the wrong answer? I want the right answer. Okay, I have 2 answers. I love that. That makes so much sense. Please tell us in chat what nation you belong to. And also, did you hear that? Seren's troublemakers? Nah. Serendies are always nice, never breaking the server rules. They are the best, most exemplary members of our community. Isn't that right, Serendies? Absolutely. No,
I'll go join them as like a fashion designer. I won't be going to war, but I'll design their weapons. They'll be flashy.
You'll design the things they will wear. Yeah, the Boy Scout army, like the badges. Yeah. I love that. They could probably have gotten that from Solowood. Like, that would make sense lore-wise, that when the Serendis march into battle, like, maybe they've gotten the designs from Solowood from some scholar or some rebel artist up there or something like that. I like that, actually. I think there could be some story there that could be put in game. Maybe you could be in the game, the rebel from Solowood who designed the Serendi army signals. I love that. What gets you...
honestly. I was about to say, like, I've been thinking, like, if I was gonna be in the game, I'd be like a pastry owner, like a pastry shop owner. Yeah,
that's actually pretty. That's pretty sweet. A pastry owner. Okay. Nice. Are you good? Like, do you make pastries often? I imagine you do, right? Or
yeah, I like baking, so I thought that'd be like a fun thing to, if we were going to have like versions of all the developers inside the game as NPCs. Like that would be me.
Oh my god, that's super nice. And that's actually a community. Please help me remember this. That is a good follow-up question to that. Which nation do you belong to? A good follow-up question to that before we get too hard into the craft of the stream would be, if you were in the game, what would you what would you do in the game? I like that is Pia. You just crafted a new community question for all guests, yeah, because I think that's a really good question. It tells us a lot about you. Wow, baking pastries. I love that.
What's your Thanabus NPC?
Yeah, what's your Thanabus NPC? Yeah, exactly. Oh my god, I love that. And I love pastries. I'm horrible at making them. Love eating them. Okay, so you talked about it. You talked about the education and challenges, but what gets your blood flowing? What gets you most excited working in Brightstar?
So, all right, the easy answer to that would be the art style. Of course, because I'm an artist. So the primary focus for me is always going to be the art style.
Yeah.
But what gets my gears turning, like right now and throughout all my time at Brightstar, is actually how do I word this? Like the technical limitations that the platform creates.
Yeah.
The fact that this has to run in a browser creates non-standard issues, which we then have to use creative problem solving to find non-standard answers to. And that process is incredibly interesting.
I believe you. It's not my craft, but I believe. So I love that you are. I think you're really painting a nice picture here. Like you seem to strive. For my conversations with you, you seem to strive from challenges. You seem to be motivated a lot by challenges that you turn into opportunities in your work, and I think that's wonderful. And it's. I hope it's trust-inducing to the community to feel that we have artists like Pia, who is not just making a beautiful world, but making the tech and the 3D aspects of it come together on her side of the field, I think, and we'll get more into that. Actually, talking about that, moving into like how your day is in the field, can you, and I might have some things I can show while you're talking about this, but can you talk to us a little bit about how your day look like when you work as a 3D artist?
Well, I probably have to tell you more like what my week looks like or the process of creating an asset, because on a day-to-day basis, like I wake up sometimes 10 minutes before the stand-up meeting and it's like, okay, good morning, I did this, all right, I'll continue moving around vertices for a day. You know, it takes a while to create an asset, so not that much happens in one day.
I love your like, tell me about your day. You're like, no, week makes sense. Okay, then take us through that. That makes sense. You know it better.
All right, so it starts with me receiving the task, which is always, most of the time, accompanied by a lovely piece of concept art, which is like something that doesn't always happen everywhere. We're quite lucky to have really talented concept artists giving us, like, here, we figure it out, now create this. Then we will have like a short kickoff where I can ask the concept artist about like details I don't really quite understand, or if there's technical concerns about the design, and I'll pick our animator's brain a bit as well, just to see if it's a creature, how do you want this to move? What should I focus on? So he has everything that he wants. And then I just start building. And I'll start in grayscale and build most of the whole thing in grayscale, so I don't worry about colors, just the values and how big the details are. And then every once in a while we have non-standard cases, as with Rashi and her cape. That cape doesn't follow the format that we have for characters at that time, so it needed a custom solution, which is where I really shine.
And shout out to our girl Rashi. I had to do that.
Like this, also one of the things I also mentioned when the concept art was pitched is the cape could be an issue, because in the design it goes in front of the arms, which means for standard animations, if she sticks her arm out, it goes through the cape.
Yeah.
And a really boring solution would be to just change the cape design to only go down the back.
Yeah.
That would also be a really shame. So I was like, nope, I'm gonna figure this out as I'm building it, so I can hand it off to the animator and he doesn't have to just do that from scratch. I'm not just gonna give him a non-functioning cape and be like, here, figure it out.
I like that. That's good team spirit, and I think that's very good for not just for the industry, but for our team. That you probably stay good friends with those other teams, and you give them something that is very thought out on your end, right? That seems very I like that. I like that way of thinking. I think I have something else here. It's range of motion test, it says. And that's probably also where you're just testing out, as you said with the cape, like how is the angles, how is the motions, does it work right when you move the character, right?
This is when we get into the technical aspect
Yeah.
of creating anything for characters. Is like I need to know what the range of motion is, like how does he bend. So I just go through, bend all the fingers, bend the toes, bend the knees, and when I create a piece of armor, I can then test the character with that armor to make sure that it doesn't break at all the bend points.
Yeah. Yeah, and also it's important to stretch before you go into the ultra deep dungeon. I think that's super important.
Yeah.
I have this thing called skinning, and I'm just like, skinning sounds extreme. Tell us about skinning. I'm curious about what is skinning.
All right, sounds a lot more extreme than it is, but skinning, let's see, in layman's terms, like every character has an underlying skeleton, which is what the animator animates to get it to move. And in the case with the skirt, there would be a lot of shearing if, so I'm not, sorry. Oh man, so because this is showing a different problem I was trying to fix, but no, okay, so
All the
skinning.
problems. There's a lot of problems that Pia is trying to fix. And
Yeah. Alright, so skinning is you're telling the vertices, like the different points on the mesh,
Yeah.
in this case, this dress, which bone to follow.
Yeah.
And the solution I was trying to fix here is that, in the standard scenario, the skirt would be following the left and the right leg, which means there's a lot of shearing at the center line, which didn't look so great. So I was trying to come up with a solution to where the skirt would look better. Like it would actually see it has a separate control for the center.
Yeah.
So that legs never pop out of the skirt.
And guys, you might be thinking like, we want to see stuff in the game. This is not important, but like, we have all tried. I mean, recently, even though Baldur's Gate 3 is a brilliant game, I was walking around. We've all tried like putting on some nice new pauldrons or some new gear, especially shoulder gear or especially capes, as you mentioned. And it just looks bad because, did you call it shearing or something like that? But it just looks bad because of jagged edges or like something like your shoulder goes through something, and you're like, oh come on, this cosmetic was meant to look so nice, right? So I think this is actually super important for immersion. And I like that we have someone like you at the helm of like making sure that we can look pretty in the game, right?
I try to think of like every non-standard case scenario and make sure that it works.
I like that. That is super important.
Wait until we get like capes and ponchos and all that kind of stuff. Everything needs some sort of solution.
I like that. Let's just, actually, as we keep talking, I'm just gonna click on a reel here as we keep talking. No, Shark reel, you are not due for now. We can show you later. Yeah, exactly. Not yet, Shark. Go back. Stay. Yeah, we'll get to you. Look at the table of content. You're not yet. I've just put on some reel with some beautiful, I think, fully rendered characters, because I'm curious about what, and I think there's a crazy scientist hiding in there as well. Which is actually something for the future, but you get a teaser of that right now. We won't talk any more about it, all right? What departments do you work the most with, Pia, when you work cross-team?
Yeah, good cross-team to say. I talk to the other artists, of course, but it's standard stuff. The people I would reach out to, when I do problem solving, would be our primary tech artist. Like I'll ping pong about our pipeline. He makes our engine tools for us, and also helps with engine implementation. Like he is my right hand. Like when I can't take it any further, because I'm very technical, but at some point it's like I need help. He's the guy. And then of course talk with engine team, because we want to go to the moon, but we got to make sure that the rocket is actually able to take us there. So whenever we try to do something in art, I try to pitch it to them and pick their brain just to make sure that what we're trying to do is something that we actually can do, streaming on a browser.
We like to go to the moon, but we need to actually make sure we can get there. I just like that you're saying these things. This make me so confident. I like that, Pia. It's good that we have you thinking about this. That makes a lot of sense. So what kind of challenges, you already mentioned some, but what kind of challenges do you usually hit in your work environment or in your team? Can you take us through some of those?
Alright, so this is also like the biggest challenge. But again, like we're everything has to be streamed through a browser, so there's a limit to how much data that we can pass on.
That makes sense.
Yes, and we also don't want to be creating like a bunch of extra animations and a bunch of extra cosmetics, for different body types. And in order to optimize it, in order to be able to stream as many humans and characters and NPCs, it's all players, all the same thing. We're gonna want them to batch together. In order for that to happen, they have to be the same and use the same rig so they can use all the same animations. That also means that the male and the female are the same, and that's a problem that we had to solve. We had to get around because, of course, we don't want them to be exactly the same. We also don't, even us developers, like, we don't want all the NPCs to have the same body build. We want some of them to be chubby. We want some of them to be buff.
Yeah.
Maybe even tall or short. Like, we're testing out things.
Yeah, making the world feel not just representable in terms of like diversity, but also just immersed, like being immersed in a world that you see different body types, different kind of characters. Because we also play different kind of characters, right? As I told you, like I used to play. I always play very pretty characters. Like I make very like pretty badass characters. But some, like I saw in Baldur's Gate, someone was playing like a bold halfling, right? Like sometimes you make an ugly character or like an interesting character, or they look something different. I don't know what kind of character you like to play. Like do you spend a lot of time on making the character very pretty, or?
A little bit too much, and then I start the game, and then 5 minutes later I go back to the character creator because I'm unhappy with the voice I chose.
Exactly.
We think the same because I mean a lot of games get away with just having one character model for the guy and one for the female, and we want to do better than that. Also, specifically because of our limitations, like we gotta find a solution. Which we're still working on, and we're sort of getting there. Where we have the different body shapes, and we record the mesh position as like a texture map, the XYZ world space coordinates as a texture, and then that gets projected to the armors. So the armor will take on that underlying body shape.
But what I'm hearing is also like, because you're not just sitting there promising, saying like we're gonna make sure. You're sitting like talking about like there are these constraints, there are these challenges with going through the browser, right? This is like how we're trying to tackle it, how we're trying to solve it. I like that. I like that approach because, it is about what you can do with the tech you have, right? And the tech in our case that we are building, right? I think that's very interesting. So. Pia, unless you have more to add to this, I want to ask you the questions that we always ask these wonderful specialists that we have on in this stream, because you are an expert in your field. But I guess it's twofold in your case. Like, what would you suggest or say to someone who is a beginner in your field, but who would like to get into it? And on the other hand, what would you like to say to someone who is an artist already, but maybe who wants to get into the game industry? Let's start with the first thing. What would your advice be to a new artist or an up-and-coming artist?
All right. It's a long road ahead.
Yeah.
All right. So if you're a complete beginner, it's everything from VFX to level design to lighting to an environment and characters. That's what I've been doing.
Yeah, sorry, I just had an audio issue. Can you repeat that, Pia? That's so evil. I just cut out your advice. Everybody's saying, like, how is it that we become an artist?
Wait, so did I cut out too, or was it just you?
No, I think I cut you out with an audio issue. It was not on purpose. So if you just start over, thank you.
Alright, so the first step is to narrow the scope of what it is that you want to be doing, because art and video games is a very, very broad spectrum. It's everything from doing like special VFX, particle effects, doing lighting, level design, shader work, environment pieces, even just like PBR materials if you just want to make some really cool, hand sculpted rocks. Like that's a thing too.
Yeah.
So, figure that out first, and then you can figure out your path from there.
Yeah.
Which, we're taking the angle of a 3D artist, is most likely not even going to start anywhere near a game engine. Like step one is figure out which 3D modeling software is going to work for you and learn the basics of 3D modeling. And then from there, bring your stuff into a game engine and slowly learn how you can enhance your art with the tools inside of a game engine.
That's very good advice. And what to artists? And we talked about this, right? What about artists who wants to get into the game industry, but who find it difficult to get into that game industry, right? What would your advice be there?
Start playing around with a game engine. But also, like, if you already are a 3D artist and you're having a hard time finding your way in, the thing that like I struggled with at the very beginning was a bloated I lost the word, a bloated portfolio.
Yeah.
Because because very early on you might not have that much work to show, so you're just showing everything, like going, here is everything I can do, but that's not necessarily representative of the work that you want to do. You're showing a bunch of stuff that you might never want to touch again, or you have a lot of, like, if you're from the commercial industry, a lot of realistic renders. But if you want to do stylized art, like, that is what you're gonna show, the product that you're selling, your talents.
Preach, as somebody says in chat. Preach about that. I think that's right. And also, if that fails, just do like Pia. Just if you want to join a game, they probably have a community. Just join that community and make a shit ton of fan art, right? Until the community goes, hire this person. Yeah.
The last piece of advice, which is honest, just for anyone in the industry, get to know just a little bit the skill set of the people who come before you and after you in the pipeline. Because like, if you want to be a character artist, you don't necessarily need to know how to rig and animate, but if you do just a little bit, you're going to understand so much better how to create your art for the next person who needs to work with it. And same thing goes with concept art. Like, should at least try drawing a little bit so you have a general idea of how to read the concept art, how to, like, what to take literally and what just to take the idea of.
I like that. Pure wisdom, Pierre. I think that's very good advice. If I was just a little better at doing what you do, I would maybe actually, after hearing that pitch, I would want to try. But I will leave it to the experts like you. Pierre, unless you have anything else, we're going to join into the next section, which is more about craft and immersion, specifically for Ember Sword, and talking about the art that you have worked on and how you're working on that art, talking about some of the challenging aspects of that and sometimes what can go wrong, but also examples of what can go right, of course. And as we jump into that, we're just going to cut to a small video. So be right back. Before the concept art team actually starts any drawing, they have to research different kinds of armor sets from different time periods. It's about finding that shape to fit our world, to act as a style guide for the gear. You can see metal and wood materials create a more tanky feeling, with more roguelike ragged cloths focusing on the movement aspect, whereas the pointy hat indicates the mage armor, which we all love. From here they pick one sketch from each tier, and really begin the process of turning them from concepts to 3D models, and that is an ongoing iterative process, comparing the colors to in-game feel and look. The focus is always on immersion and making the world come to life for the player. And making the world come alive to the player. That is a good boss sentence to start this next section. And as we start that section, Pia, you've mentioned some of it, but what are some of the most, I guess, what's the favorite art you have ever done, or the favorite 3D art process you've ever done, but also, like, what is the most challenging thing you do in your work?
Most challenging? Honestly, just anything to do with the character creator system, because everything has to fit together and you can't really have any outliers. Like, every outlier has to be taken account for. And like with what you're showing right now is the body morphing. I had to make one body that could satisfactorily turn into different body shape, like, get a bigger upper body or get a bigger belly and move everything around. So when that translated to the armor set, it still looked right. Like you didn't have a bunch of details screwing around. I mean, it all turns out to a couple of seconds in a video now, but it's still an ongoing process, and it takes like months of fiddling and testing with all the armor sets that the artists have been making.
Yeah, and I guess this is something the players haven't really experienced yet, and there will be some time before they get to experience. But the character creation is a very important aspect of Ember Sword and an important aspect of any MMO, right? And I think I asked you about your day. You answered about your week. That also says about the scale that you work on, right? That you work on projects that takes very long, right?
And now you're asking about like the span of half a year's work of just planning and figuring out rule sets for every single case.
Yes, it's not easy being on this stream, that's for sure. All right. So that was, I don't know, do you want to talk more about body morphing? Because I think like that is a topic that will only get more important as we progress closer to release. But is there anything else you want to mention about it right now?
No, I think we'll save some for another time.
Yeah.
We also have more character-related stuff to show.
Yeah, that makes sense. Then, so what are some of the difficult things that are elusive? So what are some of the things that we might think is not difficult, but are definitely difficult that we might not know about?
That the style is easy, maybe?
Or
that it is deceptively simple.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you have a lot of much more like detailed styles out there, but simple doesn't necessarily mean easy. It's honestly a lot easier to get wrong. Like if you don't get the values right, the contrast will be all off. If you don't like have detail scaling right, it's gonna look small and finicky, and that's actually one of the issues we had in the beginning because we were leaning on the already established style of the environment. And we're just like, all right, we're just gonna do that. And what you're seeing right now with the soldier, it is very close to what ended up being the final style. But when we're seeing this compared to the environment, like it's very important that we take our work and see it in the environment is going to be viewed, and we realize that it's a little bit too small.
Yeah.
Like it's missing that that chunky feel that everything else has.
Yeah, because and I think one of these samples you sent me in here, but and you probably don't think about this when you're just playing the game, but like you can zoom in and make something very detailed, right? And then not even if you're playing on your phone, but just on a regular like monitor, it might be very small, right?
It's like it's when you zoom out, like what happens to all these high contrasting lines, it starts getting really jarred.
Yeah. Like, and that makes a lot of sense to me. I think you showed me this. There's also, I think this is an example of a simpler armor design, right?
Yeah, that's when we did a test where we went, like, we knew way too far in the opposite direction, but it was important that we try to see what the other extreme was.
Yeah.
And it's like, this worked really well, but we wanted the armors to be a little bit more detailed, a little bit cooler, and this was a little bit too, I don't know, cartoony, toy-like.
Yeah.
Which is still nice, but, we gotta find that Goldilocks zone.
Yeah. Or like that third person, you can also just choose to not wear any clothes at all. That's also about character creation. There's always someone who goes that path as well. Who's just like, nope, not gonna wear any armor. I'm just gonna go into.
Yeah.
I wouldn't suggest you going into Ultra Deep without any armor, though. That is just a tip you'll probably hear. But like when you are preparing to descend into Ultra Deep, put that armor on. It will help you. I think this is also a good example of what you're talking about, right? Not over detailing, but like finding that balance, right?
Yeah, like this was also we were exploring like the style we could do for hairs, and that's where it became really apparent that a certain size of detail just ends up being too small because when you start zooming out, all those lines in the hair, you lose the big shapes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So we had to come up with like a new language for how to create assets for characters. One which includes a certain rule that I didn't make, but it's great. It's the 3 centimeter cube rule, where like we will all sit with a 3 centimeter cube inside our scene and hold up against all the details in our assets and go like, is this line thick enough? Nope, make it thicker. We just sit like zoomed in, like it doesn't look too big, but it actually is.
Okay, guys, you heard it here. The 3 centimeter cube rule. That is the art rule of Ember Sword. I love that. I've never heard about that before. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Let me just jump back to this scene here. So what are some of the tricks that you maybe use to make sure that the power of the gear is visually communicated to the other players? Like the different tiers of the different armor sets and weapon sets you can have on.
Right, so that the trick that is used is the material that is made out of. Like lower tiers will be more wood, more cheap materials, even like stuff you picked off the ground, like a wooden bucket for a helmet. And the higher tier you get more leathers, more metals, more vibrant colors, like more expensive looking. And the armor sets will also have more elements on them. Not denser details, but like more stuff. Like you don't look like you're decked out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense that you use materials and colors like that instead of just, again, over detailing it or just adding double the amount of things. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. I think the materials is pretty crafty. That's pretty smart. That like from wood to stone or wood to metal or like dragon bones or whatever, titan metal. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so
I think our approach also makes it more fun in like the early levels. Like I love the idea of your armor just being like a piece of wood you strapped onto your chest. Or,
yeah.
You know,
yeah, I didn't know if it. I don't know if it passed through one of these. We're showing some items right now, but yeah, because one of them is a bucket you have over the head, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another one's a cauldron, like a big metal cauldron.
Oh my god, I forgot the cauldron. And that's just like, oh, I'm going into the ultra deep. They told me not to be naked. I'll put a cauldron over my head, and I'm ready. And I'll pick up a wooden fork and go fight this monster. Good luck against Kanawha.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just like your staff would just be a stick with like a rock strapped to the end.
It's like when you were children playing like that you could do magic. Yeah, that's good. That's what you have to defend yourself against Kanawha. Good luck is what I'm saying. He's pretty tough. All right, so I guess, and we'll have more questions in the Q&A section because I know community is, and I've seen some of the questions in chat already, and we'll get to that. But which comes first when we are designing this in Ember Sword? Does the cool-looking sword comes first, and then you say to designers, hey, okay, this is a cool-looking sword, it needs to do a lot of damage, or does the request from the designers comes first, like this is going to be a strong weapon?
Starts with game design.
Yeah,
Whether
okay.
it's an armor piece, a weapon, or a creature, they'll have designed like all the stats for it. And then they will work together with concept art to figure out what it's supposed to look like. How do we express the functionality that we want this to have? And in the case of like an armor or a weapon, they design the whole set. So you'll have the sensor, the sword and shield, the staff, etc. You'll have an equivalent. And they design like the whole range.
That kind of makes sense. Also, again, feels like a good way to do it. So it's not just like, hey, I made this cool flaming sword. We will just like make it cool. Here, game designers, go. Like, I make this ice sword. I made this sword out of...
Sometimes they'll also pull in like a 3D artist just to say like, hey, is this actually going to work as well? Is there any concerns with this design?
Yeah, so that's our pipeline, right? And we have clear defined tiers before you start producing it. It also means that we are very efficient, right? Because those are things, I know sometimes the community talk about delays and how can delays happen. These are certainly elements that could cause delays, right? Because it doesn't take 1 hour to whip up a cool sword. It definitely takes a lot more than that, right? So if you start producing things that are not needed, and I think the game industry is prone to that, right? Creating a lot of assets probably that isn't needed or creating a lot of things that isn't needed. Then that's also how delays can happen, right? So I'm happy that sounds like that we're doing it in like the way that sounds the logical way, right? One thing that I want to show, I'm just going to jump scene again. I love jumping scenes today. Because I kind of forgot about it, was she sent something either amazing or horrible to me. I'll let you be the judge of that. But you sent this monstrosity to me. Shout out to our girl Rashi again. Well, what happened here, Pia? Like, what went wrong here?
I think I just pulled her into my 3D scene, and I accidentally grabbed all the different joints in her skeleton and rotated it, and it looked horrifying, but also, like, it's a fun part of it is like these little mistakes, like, oh, this looks scary. So I was like, okay, what if I just as a joke, like, move her hands up and make her look like she's a monster about to grab you? And then I shared that with the other developers.
Oh my god, this is horrifying. Can we have Rashi like this, like a boss where it's like Shadow Rashi and she comes like floating out, like wanting to grab you, Like we just put out Jovians a couple of weeks ago in the work in progress. Then this feels like the Jovian Queen. It's like a hack or something. I don't know. I'm terrified.
I think this is like the first thing the animator does too when he gets a new rig, just going like, she's gonna just spin it around or something. It's
I
a
hope
little like 3D ragdoll.
I hope you put her back together, right? I hope you put Rashi back together. Yeah.
So Control C.
So you're not gonna find her like this in the next test. I'm happy to do.
But if you guys do, please make a bug report.
Yes, please tell us she's not supposed to be a boss in the next Ultra Team. What she might be if she continues to be like this. All right, that makes so much sense. Pia, do you feel like there's anything we've forgotten about your day, your work? Because otherwise, let's. Because Shulk obviously wants to be shown, apparently, and I think he's getting.
So shocked.
Yeah, exactly. He's getting a little jealous. All right, then let's get to it. We'll start playing a video of Shulk, and then we'll move into the shock section. And actually, I don't want to say anymore. Let's press. Let's go.
Try to imagine something. A character. A human trapped inside a horrific amalgamation of molten metal and parts. A soul trapped inside a hulking suit of radioactive steel skin. Insane and desperate. What would that look like? This is Shock. And this is how our team brought him to life. Step 1. This is where the creative journey begins. We have nothing but a blank page. We let our creativity flow freely, focusing on keywords: rampant, insane, radioactive, heavy, big. Step 2. This is where we look for more defining words, gradually beginning to narrow our focus. Draped, molten, battered. Step 3. We now have several different ideas for how this character might look. 3 distinct explorations are presented for consideration. We must contemplate the scope of what we're doing and choose a final direction Shock will take. Let's go with A. Step 4. A clear avenue for Shock is now chosen. This is the starting point for bringing Shock to life with an Ember Sword. Step 5. Now, our focus shifts towards a functional examination of Shock's design. We tackle practical problems here. How will he disassemble during combat? How does he attack? How seamlessly are the weapons integrated into his frame? Getting these things right is instrumental towards the believability of the world. Step 6. While our 2D concept is good, remember that Ember Sword transcends 2 dimensions. We must contemplate how this character will exist within a 3D space. Step 7. This is the fun part. Playing with colors. Recognize the significance of color in a character's depiction. Every detail matters. From the overarching game aesthetic to the minutiae of character lore. The objective is to make this creature stand out without disrupting the game's cohesion. Experiment with hues, shifts, and tones until you're happy with the result. Step 8. Final concept. There it is. What started as a bit of inspiration and an idea on an empty page has turned into something tangible. The fierce character of Shock is just one such creature, painstakingly crafted together with the utmost care and consideration for our game and our world. He is yet another piece of the complex tapestry that is Ember Sword put into place. One step closer to bringing the world to life.
All right. I especially loved the sounds and the music at the end. That was that I could feel that. Like, did you feel like, oof, that? I mean, he's terrifying, but when you hear the music too, the sounds, that makes him more terrifying. Oh my god.
You should see him with effects on, like inside the game.
Yeah, when you and also like when you meet him in his environment with like and the sound effects and like towering over you, it's like, oh my god. Have you made it to Shock? Like have you beaten him?
No, I only think I made it once, and I don't want to say which attack. We did it with both hands, and I didn't manage to dodge it. I just died.
Shock is pretty terrible. He definitely. I didn't read the design document about Shock, like the ability document. So when I first fought him, it was like I didn't know what he was going to do, and he definitely did some things that I didn't anticipate, and I got kind of caught in it, and I think I let my team down. I died, and sorry team. I know a couple of developers were in there. But alright, this was Shock. And you kind of see him in a reel now going, and there's some stills and some animations in there where he's using some of his weapons, some of his abilities. And a little bird told me, Pia, that you had a thing to do with putting Shock to life. Isn't that right?
Yeah, that's me.
Can we blame you when he defeats us?
Absolutely not. I'm the architect, but I didn't install the software.
I'm not to blame. That feels very solo woodling, by the way. I'm not to blame for Shock.
No, it's not my fault you're using my creation for evil.
Yes, exactly. Not my fault. It was meant to pick up flowers and make tea and everything. No, I have a feeling Shock is pretty dangerous. I imagine Shock is one of the biggest projects you have done for Ember Sword, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like, of all the 3D models I've had to do, he's the one that was the most time consuming.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, look at him, right? Look, oh my God, I just want to sit here and keep looking at him. Let's show it's a bigger Rashi.
No, Rashi, go away.
Rashi, please stop haunting us. They're really fighting for the spotlight, Rashi and Shock, I think. But today it is definitely Shock. He's the bigger monster, I think, of the two. And oh my gosh, look at this! Like, tell us about Shock. Tell us about. I think this is his second phase, but tell us about Shock. Tell us about what went into it.
All right, so I mean, he was just difficult to translate from the concept art in general because he, unlike an organic model where you can have a little more leeway, he's very mechanical. He has a lot of like bits and pieces that need to fit together. So I was like, okay, if we gotta figure out his internal skeleton and get him out in a T pose, because you don't deliver an already posed character to your animator. You gotta T pose him. So I had to figure out that whole movement.
Yeah.
And then sort of like built both his phase 1 and phase 2 at the same time because all the bits like had to be reused and fit under his outer shell. Because when it breaks down, it starts showing that inner shell, so I couldn't have things clipping through. So I have these two models that need to fit on top of each other.
Yeah, as you can see here, right? Breaking down, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and all those pieces, I mean, they exist underneath his non-broken. I mean, except for the exploding hole that comes after.
Yeah. So when you're seeing this version of Shock here, it's like it's all there, right? It's and what is it? Is it blood? Is it like what's oozing out of him? It's pretty hideous. Like that's.
I've been told that it is molten corrupted flux.
Oh my God, that sounds. I guess that's Shock's blood. That makes sense. Yeah, why not? He's beating molten corrupted flux. Did you say that? That's terrifying. That's cool.
Yeah.
Wow. All right. So, damn. This is. I want to go and fight him right now, and you can soon too. Just wait out for that. You might not be happy afterwards if he claps you the first time. Oh my God. So, what are some of what was the most challenging about Shock? Like the single most challenging. I'm sure there are many.
Also, just fitting the two phases together.
Yeah, that's usual.
He is huge.
Yeah.
Like a huge model, so it took a lot of time and a lot of energy to make him. And during the kickoff phase where we're going over the concept art, where the concept art is like, all right, we have all these pieces that need to be able to fall off.
Yeah.
Like, all right, that's great. He's multiple pieces that has to like fit on top of each other, and for phase 1 and phase 2, and it's man. But I'm sure that our animator had just as much, not trouble, but work cut out for him.
Yeah. You were together in the hard workload. Yeah, exactly.
He had a field day with all the little bits and bobs, and I even managed to surprise me. Like the gun on his right arm that spins around.
Yeah.
Wasn't designed like that. He just figured out that it
fit
perfect. Yeah, exactly. It's like he just tested out like, can it rotate without clipping through the outer shell of the gun? Yes, it can.
Yes, it can, and I made it happen. Yeah, exactly. No, I love that. And we do have the writer, the creator of the lore, actually telling us that that's a pretty good guess, Pia. What is oozing out of Shock? So that's, oh my God, molten flux. That's great. Yeah, exactly. You nailed it. I want to say that I want to talk more about the deep lore about Shock, because obviously you guys know from the work in progress, you know the things that we have told you so far, that he was an alchemist, like a laboratory that worked in there. He was the leader of the laboratory, of the scientists that worked there. He was the lead scientist. But there's more to it. There's more to his goal. There's more to his ambitions. There's more to what happened with Ultradeep, obviously. And there's more to the entity and creature that Shock is. And it goes all the way back to the catastrophe. And you might actually also not know what the catastrophe is yet, depending on how long you've been in the community. But this is all something that we're going to talk more about in the month leading up to the playtest. And it's October soon. Like, we started with that, right? It's so close to October. So stay tuned for that. Watch out for that. Watch out for that lore. If you're that kind of person that loves to dive into, like, what is Shock before you fight him, stay tuned for that. If you're the kind of person that doesn't care, they're going to put a bucket on your head and fight Shock and beat him, like, be my guest. Like, you don't actually need the lore to beat him, but you might want to know why he's doing and why he's shooting at you, right? Or you might not. And if you have a bucket on your head, you might not be able to see him anyway, I guess. Or a cauldron. So that was kind of some of the lore about Shock. I actually, before we talk more about Shock, I want to play a little teaser about how it is going into Ultradeep and how it is actually fighting Shock. Are you cool with that, Pia?
Yeah, let's go.
Yeah, let's go. Let's fire away. All right, and before we go into the Q&A section, let's just wrap up Shock, so to say, because he's been pulled apart, and we want to put him back together. We talked about the most challenging thing about Shock, which was also the most terrifying. Looking forward to fight him. But what is an interesting, what is an interesting thing about Shock that we didn't know we needed to know, but that you know that we need to know? I'm asking the good questions today.
Interesting need to know. I can go with like my favorite little thing that might not even like be in the game, but again, like the fun part of being a character creator is sending it off to the animator and seeing what he comes up with. And again, like using the designs in ways it wasn't intended to be used.
I like where this is
like
going.
When he rotates, he pivots from his butt, like where his legs attaches to a cylinder. That doesn't move, but his whole body can just like go around in a circle.
Yeah.
And he was playing around with that and did this thing where he would charge up and the butt would extend and then go like push forward like a butt cannon. Like it got its own little life, and it's like, okay, you gotta tone that down.
Okay, so that I don't know if that makes him less terrifying or more terrifying, but okay, a butt cannon that didn't make it into the test, right? Or
I know we're gonna have to look out for that if his butt does like a little like charge up thing.
Okay, watch out, guys. That might be a secret phase 3, which with a butt cannon. Okay, that's yeah. Okay. Oh my god, I don't know if that's you like if that makes him less terrifying or more terrifying. I guess is it. But did you see that teaser? How like, and that's actually kind of the things that shocked me. I know he was gonna fire 1 laser, but then suddenly he fires 2 lasers, right? And then he just starts spinning, and I'm like, hey, relax. That kind of caught me.
I died too.
Yeah, exactly. I died too because I was like, my blink wasn't ready, and I got kind of caught in that. And maybe there's this third laser coming out his butt. All right, let's hope not. And if they watch this stream, they might do it. Let's hope they don't do it. Actually, I think I'm fine with 2 lasers. That's enough to watch out for. Let's see here. I guess one final thing here about Shock is Max, the game director, couldn't be here today. He's looking forward to being here in the next dev stream, which is very soon, just right before we launch the test. But I asked him, Max, if there was one thing you would like to tell the players about fighting Shock, what is it? And he kind of just smirked at me, which he does when something is very, very wrong. And he said, yeah, you know there are two phases, right? There are two phases. And I said, yeah, they might. There's two phases. When he's at 50% health, they know that he gets into phase 2. And he's like, yeah. Yeah, at the second phase, he gets very, very angry. And then he just laughed and walked away. And I don't know, that was very ominous to me. Like, I'm like, okay, yeah, so good luck with phase 2, I guess. I think they have something in store for phase 2. I think he probably does something that you don't expect. So that's awesome. Thank you, Max, so much for those details that are totally going to help us beat him. Thank you so much.
You gotta get past Canavar first.
And you gotta get past Canavar first. Let's not forget Canavar. Yeah, exactly. And he's pretty tough. And he's gotten tougher, I feel, throughout the test. Like, now you're getting Easter eggs here, but like extra information. But like, I feel like Canavar's only gotten tougher. I don't know if he has a problem with Shock being badass, but
I mean, as I mentioned, I already came up against Shock once, and that's because I'm really struggling to get past Canavar.
Yes. He's a good wingman there. Okay, let's. I'm just gonna jump scene, and let's take some questions if you're up for that, Pia.
Yeah, let's go.
All right, so let's jump into the last section. Let's jump into the Q&A section. You might also see that the chat now should appear if the tag is working. If Whiskers is done cutting wires, are you done? Are you done, Whiskers? Thank you. Don't cut us out now. I shouldn't have said that. I angered him. Okay, first question is from Mr. X. That's ominous. How to play? Question mark. That's a very, very, very good question. Very easy question. I think I'll take that, Pia. I mean, you can't play right now. Like, I know we're talking about the game, and that is because very, very soon you can. Very, very soon in October, you are going to be able to play our next alpha playtest, which is a dungeon run in our first and most known community dungeon called Ultra Deep. We're going to fight several bosses, and all of this information is going to be progressively announced and put out over the next month. So look out for that, and that is when you can play. So look out for that window. And then, of course, there will be future tests as well, beta, and then there will be a release. And then you can play all the time you want. Another question is from Ronnie. He's a community favorite. He asks a lot of questions, so be ready for those Ronnie questions. He asks you, Pia, what is your favorite thing about the world of Ember Sword? Oh, that's pretty big, the world of Ember Sword. So what's your favorite thing about the world of Ember Sword?
Oh, gee.
Putting you on the spot.
Oh, gee, that is a big question.
Yeah, thank you, Ronnie.
Well, it's just hard to give an answer to, because my answers are probably going to be very different because I work with it. So it's like, I love the texturing style. I love like the cute little props, the cute little collectibles. You know, you ores, get your vegetables. Like, it's because my focus is very much on my work aspect of it. Like, that's what I really, really like.
Yeah, and it's probably different from you because in your department you are sitting working with the actual game every day, right? Where we are consuming it in publishing, we're consuming it from a different angle, right? From a different distance. Because I would say my favorite part of the game is when you pick up herbs. It says num 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 num, and I don't know. That's my favorite game. It's so stupid. That's my favorite part.
And the style of the foliage, actually, because there's a whole thing that had to be looked into is how we render foliage. So that has a special place for me as well, like all the bushes and all the trees. Yeah,
I think that was one of the first things we released in Work in Progress as well. I think that was herbs and like foliage and things like that, and it is very pretty, and it kind of brings immersion to you again. Like you're walking around in this world, right? And sometimes I find myself just spending 30 minutes just picking up stuff. Like just, okay, this looks interesting, I'll pick this up. Or like, why is the duck here? Like, what is this duck doing next to this thing, right? I love that.
God, that duck. I want to make that duck fly at
some
point.
The ducks and the cats, like, what are they doing? Why are they there? What's the story? I want to know. All right. We have another question from general community who says, what or who inspired you to become a 3D artist? What or who? Okay. All right.
What or who?
Yeah.
Not one thing in particular. It's just the way that my life went. Like, I started with traditional art, but knew that like that hobby wouldn't survive if I did it as an actual job.
Yeah.
Plus, like, I mean, it's kind of like insane. Be like, I want to be a traditional artist doing like oil paintings and drawings and stuff like that. Like, I had to figure out like what I could do that I could actually live off of. So I took an education as a 3D artist for the first month, I hated it because I didn't get the 3D part. Like it just didn't make sense to me. And then suddenly it clicked, and I never looked back. I was just all 3D from then on. And I was very lucky to straight out of school get an internship and then a job at a production house that did like, products in AR and VR in Unity. So I got a lot of years to learn how to work inside of a game engine and problem solve within a game engine. I was very fortunate to have that as my springboard
Yeah.
to gain the knowledge that I then needed to pivot into games. So somewhat by accident and somewhat just by the choices that I made along the way.
Such is life often, right? And so that makes a lot of sense to me. And I'm happy you got here. And please stay here, Pierre. We need you. On behalf of the community and Bright Star, we need you. Okay, a question from Nathiz, who asks, how can I get access to the game? You can't play right now, as I said earlier, but there's a playtest upcoming. But it's actually a good question. To get access to the game, the only thing you need to do right now is go into our website. I'm sure somebody will help you in chat, but otherwise it's just embersword.com, I think. And you go in there and you just create an account. And when you've created that account, I mean, you can sign up to our newsletter, our Discord, everything, so you get all the news. But once you've done that, you're actually ready. You're ready to play. And whenever there's a window for you to play, we will announce it. We'll tell you. We'll inform you. Don't worry. There's a question from Akaru 2020. And the question is one word, NFT question mark. I can take that in kind of two ways. There'll probably be more questions. Sorry, Pierre. I can take that in kind of two ways. I mean, how to get NFTs? Like you can wait for our land sales, or you can go on the secondary market. But it can also be, is there NFTs in the game? I don't know if that is how it's mentioned. And yes, absolutely, there are NFTs in the game. They are not out there right now, but I think they are meant to be, when we're done, 100,000, if I'm correct, non-PvP placed land, digital assets that you can get. It's a lot of land separated between the nations. And that's because we want a community-driven world. And we will get that community-driven world by giving land, like that you purchasing land, getting land, right? And then there's also going to be a lot of cosmetics. We call them digital collectibles. Cosmetic skins, mounts, which will not impact your, like it's not pay to win. It won't impact your ability in the game. But those will also be shaped and owned by the players. So I hope that was a good answer to the one-word question. I see somebody in chat. Obviously, I see a lot of love towards UP in the chat. I like that. And then somebody asks, here comes Momo, asks, what are the kind of merch being pushed right now? You saw me before, had a hoodie on. That's merch. It's not something you can buy right now. I would say right now, the best chance of getting merch is participating in our competitions. Doing like Pia did, like do fan art, participate in our competitions, participate in our community events when they're live. And then other than that, be patient, because obviously I'm sure there will be merch. Don't worry.
We also have a bunch of rogue merch going around in the office.
Yeah.
Because some of the artists wasn't happy with the palette, so they printed their own hoodie.
Yes, thank you for that. That's true. So sometimes you will see us wearing rogue merch. Is that the word now? I love that, rogue merch. Yeah, rogue merch. I think I have a couple of rogue merch items actually that like, those are interesting. Those will go for high sale one day, I'm just saying. So keep them tight. We have a question from Canary Pistol to you, Pia, who asks, what are the challenges of 3D with the new Sirius game engine? I think you mentioned some of it, but you can go over some of it again. Like, what are the issues with, or the challenges with our engine? With 3D
just
specifically.
having to work alongside development. It's like, as we discover which solutions we need, they also need to be built. So it's like, oh, we can do it this way. And then that has to be passed on to the end developers, and then they're going to have to take our ideas and make something that works, and then it goes hand in hand. So it's like prototyping, making a solution, more prototyping.
Yeah.
And that could sometimes be tough, because it's a little bit of a waiting game every once in a while.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And the tech is evolving as we go, right? The tech, but also probably also new challenges, right? Like new challenges as the tech evolves. Yeah.
I mean, that's why we gotta make our own engine as well, because we need custom solutions for putting stuff in a web browser.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Custom solutions, right? If you want to do what have never been done before, well, then you need your own custom solution for it, right? You cannot just do what everyone else has done before you. We got a question from Ronnie again. Shout out to Ronnie. Where do you get your inspiration from, and from what games, art, etc.? And yeah, Pia, where do you get your inspiration from when it's not Ember Sword? I guess it can be shows as well. Yeah.
I was just like anything that's highly stylized and 2D. Like, honestly, personally, I just like games that have a really strong art style. Like A Short Hike, if you know that game, it's like
I don't. A Short Hike.
No, everything's like really pixelated. It's 3D and has this pixel overlay, and you're this cute little black bird that's flying around an island, and it just has a super strong art style, and I love that. Just copying any sort of art style.
A short little hike.
A Short Hike.
A Short Hike. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Like small games like that.
Yeah. Anything else that jumps to mind?
Oh, I can go a complete other way. Like it's a puzzle game. I can't. The Witness. It's like that art style with the colors and the sort of like it is full PBR, but everything's simple, a little bit hand painted. I think it's super beautiful. Like it's actually the same method for the foliage that we've been using for the game. So yeah, like I will look at something visual, like the technical aspect, and remember that and try to like recreate that like in my own projects and take that knowledge, for example, to Ember Sword.
I like that you see it with that angle and that perspective. That makes sense that those games would be some of your biggest inspiration. There's another question here from general community. What are the primary software tools and technologies that you use in your 3D modeling and animation work?
Right, so my 3D modeling software of choice is Maya. A lot of people use Blender. I need to also get into the technical parts of it with like changing the normals of a mesh, animating it, setting up rig, like just that whole end of the pipeline as well. So I prefer to use Maya. Yeah. Then not for Ember Sword because our texturing style is different, but for some of my own stuff, I'll use Substance Painter and Substance Designer and Photoshop to create the textures. And then my personal choice, because like I don't know how to program, would be Unreal Engine. Like that's the engine I would use.
Yeah. That makes sense. All right. There you have it, guys. More advice. So the real AJ asks, when can I transfer my assets? Okay. Well, awesome that you got assets. I assuming it's Ember Sword digital assets. You can soon there will be an announcement about the next IMX migration window, and you can transfer those assets. We'll get right there. We'll help you. So look out, subscribe to our newsletter. There will be newsletters when the next window is open. It will be a pretty long window. Or be on the Discord. It will be announced multiple places. Okay, there's a question from general community. I think it's to you, Pia. How closely do the art department work together in the process of an asset? How does the pipeline look like?
See, fairly close. I mean, for most things, it's enough that it's concept art and the game designers talking together.
Yeah.
But in some special cases, like with big creatures or cosmetics that needs a whole other layer of visuals that we haven't done before, like they'll bring 3D in to address any issues that would be, even like the animated will be brought in as well to ask if there's any concerns there.
Yeah. To kind of work together in a cell, or like work together to perceive and solve this. I like this, working together, team spirit.
And it's also very important to try and continue to communicate with each other. Like it's not just like a closed cell where I get the concept art, I make it in 3D, and then I pass it on. Like we try to talk with each other as we go along, and raise concerns.
That's good to know. That's I think again healthy way of doing things, and good that you're looking out for each other. STCX, I don't know how to pronounce that. Sticks asks, I'm new in the game. How do I start playing the game? Awesome that you're new in the game. Stay tuned for the next playtest where there will be a window where you can play the game. And other than that, it's just staying tuned for like every time we run a test, or when we one day release the game. And if you are uncertain where you can stay tuned about that, again, newsletter, Discord, I'm sure that I see there's a link in chat already about the Discord, but otherwise go to the website, immersword.com and subscribe to the newsletter. And hi, good that you're new in the game. That's awesome. A question from general community to you, Pia. Can you share some of your favorite projects you have worked on at Bright Star Studios and what made them special or challenging?
Ooh, favorite and special?
Yeah.
I mean, the very first thing that I did at Bright Star is always going to be special. The first model I created was of a guard dog.
Oh no! Oh, that's so pretty.
It's just a happy doggo, and I remember like writing. I was super nervous back then, didn't know anyone in the company, and I had to like break the ice with her animator. Like, hi,
Yeah.
I'm making this thing. Just want to make sure we're on good terms, and if anything's wrong with my model, please let me know.
Oh my god, I call it the flux dog, but that's really good. That's super nice. And they are in the capital, right? Protecting and like yeah, exactly, watching. Yeah.
I think the flux dog is a different one. It's like it's like has like a whole like a techie gear on it and stuff and
Oh, so
purplish
they
blue.
might not be the
Yeah.
same. Okay, yeah.
No, the guard dog is like what's it called, like the police dog?
Oh no, I've seen that
Like-
one too. That is cute.
Yeah, the shepherd, and it
yeah,
has the actual guard's outfit
Yeah.
with a little hoodie on it.
yeah. No, that is awesome too. I think we've actually done a work in progress with this. I think so. If you're curious about it, you can go check it out. I think it's probably in the earlier segment of our work in progress. Yeah, exactly. We probably just call it the Flux Hound. I know what you're referring to. It's super cute. It is super nice. Oh my god, I love that. Love dogs. Okay, there's a question here. Canary Pistol asks, Bruno Mars came to Brazil. When is Ember coming to Brazil? Awesome that Bruno Mars came to Brazil. I don't know like if you're referring to like when the company comes to Brazil or like the game or like the token. But I'll just say I don't know. Hopefully one day we'll be able to join you in Brazil like Bruno Mars did. That would be awesome. I would personally love to go. Never been to Brazil, but I can't make any promises. But I like that you're asking. That's a nice spirit. Brazil is definitely up there among one of the most awesome sub-communities that we have. Continue to rule Brazil. All right. There's a question from the general community. Can you tell us about the process of creating Shulk in 3D? How did you start the process? How long did it take to complete it? I guess that's a good question. Like, especially in like how long. Could you quantify how long it took? It took pretty long, right?
Yeah, like on paper it took me a month, but
Yeah.
I know it took like 5 weeks.
That's a
Do
lot.
it.
A month is a lot. Wow. All right.
Yeah, it's like 2 weeks per phase.
Damn. All right. So guys, if you want the 4 phases, you know what's gonna happen? It's doubling the time, right? Yeah, exactly. And Shulk might change. Like this is alpha, right? He might realistically change, both in beta and in full release, right?
If it makes it more fun to fight against, then
Yeah.
yeah, it would definitely change.
Yeah. So that makes sense that you might not be done with Shulk, and Shulk might not be done with you, right?
Are we ever really done though?
Exactly. Are you ever done with an
Yeah,
MMO? Because you kind of release it and then you're yeah.
3 years the game will like could be out and
Yes.
and we'll be set in stone with something,
Yeah.
and some player will find a way to break it and be like, well, we
Yeah.
gotta fix it now.
I love it.
Thank you.
Think about like one day Shulk might be to Ember Sword what Ragnaros is to World of Warcraft, right, or something like that, or Nyxia, and I like that. That Shulk he's not the first boss of the first dungeon, but he is like the end boss of the first dungeon, right now. But remember, guys, it's probably a good shout to do right now that everything is alpha, right? Everything is work in progress. Everything is alpha, and things can change, and they should. That's how it is, right? That's why we're testing with you, showing it to you, building it with you. There's a long question here from Minting Buddy. First of all, I'm a
People
big
concerned.
It's a long question. Okay, are you ready? From Minting Buddy. First of all, I'm a big fan. I love the passion. Okay, a lot of it's just praise, not a question. Like, I love the passion, effort, and the hard work of the team to deliver not only the game, but as well as the game engine. Thank you. I'm excited for the release and the dynamic feature of the game. I believe that Ember Sword will massively onboard millions of Web 2 players into Web 3, and at the same time, be an instrument to educate them on the blockchain and the beauty of it, and the ownership that a player can get. Do you encourage community members to apply or work at Ember Sword? If yes, I'd like to express my interest as a UX designer. If a person, oh, that's awesome. Okay, first of all, I guess thank you for the praise, all the love. I think the way you look at it is brilliant. That is absolutely one of the many things we're trying to accomplish and hoping we can achieve to the moon, right? And absolutely, I mean, I don't. We encourage absolutely community members to apply for work at Ember Sword. That's also why we're having these dev streams and craft streams. And you can go to our website right now, embersword.com, and check. I think there's careers section, and you can press on that career sections and see what's up there. And I also think you can send in unsolicited applications. Catherine/Herikari might be able to help you in chat with the email. Or how you can, yeah, exactly. She's already there. That's fast.
And span some fam art.
Yes, exactly. And do what Pia did. Send some fan art. But it's very true. Participate in the Fanabus Cup. Participate in the fan art competitions. Make your name known. Become the top one of your nation. Make your nation win. Now I'm going out on such track, but do all that. Wow, that's a nice question, isn't it? That's a very nice question. How do you define, there's a question from community here, how do you define the Ember Sword style? How do you convey it from 2D to 3D? That's a broad question. That's an interesting question, a very broad question. I don't know how you're going to tackle this.
I try to think about it as like a vector drawing. It's like, that's again with the rule set of how thin or thick we make things, is that when we zoom out, the way it's shaded, we want it to be reminiscent of like a vector drawing, and
that
have
makes sense.
A little bit of a 2D style. So if anything that we do would go against that, like if we use gradients that are too short or it gets too textured and noisy, like that's going in the wrong direction. Yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And as it says in the video earlier, we transcend the 2D dimension to 2 dimensions. That's very true. We do.
But not too far.
Not too far. We don't. Not too far. We stay pretty close. Where it's cozy and nice. There's a question from Canary Pistol. How do you deal with the when? No. How do you deal with the when question and the soon comments of community pressure and also your personal anxiety? Is it negative or positive? And what do you think is positive? I'll kind of start out here, but I actually have an interesting angle on this for you as a developer, Pia, as an artist. Because I think, obviously, the when and the soon TM is a fun meme and a fun trend within the community. And I think that is kind of healthy for a community. Like, sarcasm, humor is a good way to deal with waiting. And there is a lot of waiting. When you are building an engine in MMO, let me just tell you about that. There's a lot of waiting, and so I think that's healthy. I think obviously you like. I know as I had gotten older, because all the people in Brightstar are gamers themselves almost, and a good section of them have even been esport competitors or very hardcore streamers and players. And we know how it is to wait for a good game. We know how it is to wait for our favorite game. It is never fun, and the game will never come out soon enough. But one thing I have learned as I have gotten older is that I actually prefer that the game comes out when it's good instead of it coming out when it's not good, but it's released because I don't really care. Like, and I think this is, as I've gotten older, I've cared less about when it comes out and cared more about that it's good when it comes out, right? That it's the experience I want. And so I think that's really the mentality that you got to do with, like, can you deal with waiting, or do you hate waiting, right? Because if you hate waiting, then maybe you should just tune in whenever we have playtests, right? Because that's when you can get into it and test it and play it. But do I think it's positive? I mean, yeah. I mean, it's pretty positive that people are passionate, and when you're waiting for something, you're passionate about it. So I think that's my spin as a community manager. But I don't know, Pia, that's my angle to you, is like, how does this affect you as an artist, knowing all these when questions and come on, build the game, right?
All I can say is that making a game, it is bloody difficult, and I've gotten so much more respect for that after I've been doing it for real. It's like I had no idea what I was getting into. Now I do. Send help.
Yeah, send help. Yeah, because you stay right there, Pia.
I mean, it's honestly, it is lovely that there's this much like excitement for it, but I also appreciate all the patience because it takes time. And from a developer standpoint, I don't want that extra pressure, coming from the inside. Like, it's done when it's done and when it's good. And we're gonna do a better job if we're not pressured by like unrealistic deadlines, as you've seen some other games, as you said, that come out and people will be unhappy because it's not great and the team is completely burned out.
Yeah, it's like ultimately like the game will never come out soon enough because obviously you want to play it if you're hyped about it. But also if it then comes out and it wasn't good, then it really doesn't matter, right? On the other hand, if it comes out and it is good, then you ultimately really won't be impacted by the delay, right? If it's really what you wanted, then you'll be happy, right? That you got the cool experience and the fun game, right? So, but I definitely think it's cool that you're passionate about it, and I think the win is a kind of fun thing in our community. And it has been a long journey, and there's parts of this journey left. So stay in it. What is it? I saw a TikTok meme the other day where it's like, is it worth the wait? And then there's a guy walking in the background, and he turns around and he says, "Yeah, if you're strong enough." And then he just like, I love that meme. So yeah.
When people are asking like how to get a hold of Ember Sword, I've been tempting to answer. It's like the devil's right over there with a contract.
It's exactly. And as you said, like, if you work in the game industry, you know how tough it is to get these games out and get them developed. And MMO doesn't make it easier. I want to say building your own engine doesn't make it easier.
It's like a Elden Ring level of making a game.
Yeah. But it is so worth it, right? And that is ultimately why we're doing it. And passion drives us. There's a question from Ronnie8445. I don't know if that's like the same Ronnie or if he's trying to fake us that he's a new Ronnie. But yeah, Ronnie8445, how long does it take to create one character/item on average? Yeah, you tell us, Pia. How long does it take?
Let's see, so for a normal generic armor set, it will take me about 7 to 8 working days. A bit more than a week. Yeah. For special things, like special cosmetics, then we're looking at like 3 weeks just for one thing.
So again, and obviously you might have other things in between, right? Small tasks, ad hoc tasks, meetings, right?
We try to count that in as well. So like when I say something take me 2 weeks, it's like okay, and then I gotta add another week because I also spend like a couple of hours doing planning and meetings.
Yeah. Again, that gives you some respect, right? Like that takes time. Obviously, you're not the only one, thank God, working on all of this. But like that, it takes time, right? It takes time to do this. There's a question from I love Tesla. I love Tesla. When release, as Pia said, like ultimately the philosophy is when it's ready, and we think it should be. But we understand that there's a dynamic balance, right? Because obviously, like that's not in like. I was just about to say how many years. I should not. Obviously, there's a balance, right? You cannot wait forever, but when the game is ready. But I think the best thing you can do in regards to when it's released is like follow the natural phases of the game, right? We are in Alpha 2 very soon with the dungeon, or like late Alpha or Alpha, next state Alpha, however you want to put that, where there's a dungeon experience. And one day we'll be in beta, right? And then, hey, we're one step closer, right? So you can kind of follow that natural progress in the game. There's a Nicernator, I love that name, asking, next playtest, we're going to test some dungeons. Yeah, we're going to test some dungeons. That's absolutely what we're going to do. A dungeon, a ultra deep dungeon, where Pia here worked, I don't know if you worked on Canada as well, but you were one of the main working forces behind Shock, right? The final boss. Yeah. Did you work on Canada as well?
No, Kanawa was a different artist.
Okay, that makes sense because you had your hands full with Shock. Yeah. Yes. All right. There is. I'll jump back to chat in a second. I'll take the rest of the community questions here in my document. There's a question from Doctrina. What is the hardware perspective for running the game? Well, right now in the last test, it was make sure you have 3G. Make sure you use Chrome or Edge. It might run on other browsers, but that's what we suggested. And then have a mid-tier specs, like mid to high-tier specs. But obviously, once it's released, it's a browser game. You can play it anywhere with 3G and almost on anything. Like, we literally had a developer playing it on a Stream Deck, right? We didn't do anything to make it work. He just tried it. It worked. And that is what we're aiming for, right? The game will be very accessible. One of the main pillars of the game. Okay, I love Tesla asks, she designs final boss, question mark. And where does she get her inspiration? I like this I like this super hype, like, I can feel it. I mean,
she also had a question further up about like how much of the design that I got to choose.
Oh yeah. Oh, you're in the chat. That's amazing. I don't know if you want to touch upon this. Like, obviously the VOD will be out and they can watch it all, but you can feel free to add something, Pia, if you want to add something to it.
So designs are not completely set in stone. It's a shared effort. So it's my responsibility as a 3D artist to translate it to like the best of my judgment. Because not everything that is drawn in 2D necessarily works in 3D space, and I might have to alter things, or maybe I have a better idea. Like with Shock in his exploding phase, the one side is ripped asymmetrically, and that couldn't be seen in a concept art because you only saw the front. I was like, all right, well, I'm just gonna do me here, and that's perfectly allowed.
I love it. I love it. And I just want to reiterate, the VOD here will be out on YouTube and on Twitch for a month, but on YouTube forever afterwards. So, and Pia, you have done phenomenal answers to all of this. So, like, go back, watch it, digest it. It is amazing. There's a question from one of our last questions from the general community. What are some advice you would give people aspiring to become a 3D artist and work with? All right.
Oh.
Yes, I'm back. I think Whiskers are trying to tell us that we're done. I don't know. Like, did you see him move? I don't. Yeah, I solved it. That is the same audio bug that has been. I won't. Okay, it's okay, Whiskers. It's not you.
We managed to get this far.
Yeah, exactly. We managed to get this far, and we are actually also above time. So maybe it's just the system telling us, like, no, sorry, I didn't get muted. Like, it's not. Yeah. There's a bug in the system. It's nice. It's nice. Okay, I think if I don't know, did you hear me ask the question?
I don't know. My
yeah.
blank because I was entertaining myself for the duration.
Yeah, exactly. So an interesting thing actually, could they hear? Yeah, sound is muted. Yeah, so they couldn't hear you, right? Okay, I think that's interesting to know when I'm gonna say. Thank you, community, for helping. All your QA to me will be helpful in solving this bug that I'm gonna solve after the stream. I think let's just end on a high note then, because there's a question here I've been saving for the end, which is from the Rain, which asks, will there be one big server? How do you make sure everyone have a good ping connection? So I just want to announce here that in the next playtest, which is very, very soon in October, there will be more servers than last time. There will be more than one server, and you will be covered way better. And there will be a full announcement about that. But I just want to say I'm super excited about it. There will be more servers, and it will be an amazing dungeon run. And oh my god, I'm looking so forward to it. Okay, sorry, there's somebody here who is joining now. If you're joining now, remember to watch the VOD. It will be on YouTube instantly after the stream on our Ember Sword YouTube, so you can find it there. Pia, it is sad for the late joiners, but I think we should end the stream very, very soon. So I just want to thank you everyone so much. Remember to go and watch. There's a VOD with the level design, lead level design as well. There's a VOD with the founders where I picked their brains in an AMA about where we are right now, where we're going. And then watch out for the next dev stream, which is just on the wake of the Ultra Deep Dungeon experience, where it's a special stream where we talk about the Ultra Deep Dungeon. Continue asking questions through the bot on Discord. And then before I do an outro, Pia, what do you want to say to community at the end of it all?
Thank you for existing. Like, if there wasn't a community and you guys didn't make fan art, I wouldn't have had a way in. Like, honestly, I owe a lot. I owe a lot to you guys.
That's a beautiful. I couldn't say it better. So thank you for existing, community, and thank you for being here today with us. And I was gonna play the usual Dalcor Cortana outro video, but I actually think I just want to replay the teaser for Ultra Deep so we see some more of that combat, because that's just awesome. So let's go out with that. Again, thank you so much, Pia, and thank you, community, and Ember Sword signing off for now. Bye.
Bye.
All right, Pia.
Do you look up at the stars? Are you afraid they might be looking back at you? Or does the sense of awe they instill overpower you? After a lifetime of being told, your path is the world. I once heard that in a foreign land. Assigned beliefs before I could pass syllables. It was only in these wondrous hills that I found providence. In these woods, you will discover your calling and raise your home. You will learn many truths, some that build your foundation and others that tear it down. You will find kindred spirits who you will take up arms with, conquer enemies alongside, and come to call family. I am Dalcor Cortana, Headmaster of Bulkhalter's Academy and Lord of Solarwood. Sons and daughters of Thaddeus, go forth and explore. Discover the secrets not only of this moon, but the universe, to reclaim humanity's former glory inch by inch. The world is not our path. It is only our beginning.